What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Brandon, back with another video, and this is going to be how to get the Cudo Miner software up and running standalone on a USB stick. So what I mean by that is you don't need a hard drive in your mining rig. You'll be able to install this software on a USB stick, plug the USB in, set your motherboard to boot to USB, and then it will boot and run off of the actual USB stick in a Linux distribution that Cudo Miner has stripped down, and I'll show you. So let me pull the other screen up here, guys. Bam. So I will give you all this link. It's cudominer.com/bare metal installation. You already have to have a Cudo Miner account. So if you don't have a Cudo Miner account, please visit my referral link down below in the description. That'll be the first link. It'll say, Cudo Miner referral link. So click on that. You'll have to do it on a Windows computer, I believe. Install Cudo Miner, then you set up an account, blah, blah, blah. After you've done all that kind of stuff, got that out of the way, or if you already have an account, you can jump right to this section. So I'll put this link down below. Also, cudominer.com/bare metal installation. It's got some dashes in between there. The bare metal is referring to their Linux operating system. It's just stripped down. It's just bare as bare can be. Obviously, option 1, deploying to a hard disk, we don't want that. We want to run this from a USB flash drive. That way, we're not only versatile, if it ends up not running well, we can just unplug it and plug something else in. So what I use a lot of times is Simple Miner. I have that on a USB also. But, for example, if I want to do some auto switching, I can just plug in Cudo Miner and run that. Similar to like how Hive runs. Nobody else has any kind of options for running off of USB drives yet. So you got Hive, Simple Miner, and Cudo Miner. And the awesome thing about Cudo Miner is it doesn't take any of the technical know-how or setup once it's actually running on the system. It just auto switches and you pick your payout coins. Really nice there. Now, so for option 2, in this scenario, you use a raw disk image, writing it to a USB flash drive. So you need to download the IMG version, not the ISO file. They recommend using a different flashing tool. I recommend using Etcher. So it's ETCHER, Etcher. I'll put the link down for Etcher down below in the description, and I'll show you all how it actually works. So once you download Etcher and run it, which is a free program, it'll pop up with a screen like this. Oh, I got an error. It'll pop up with a screen like this. You're going to select your image. So then you go into your downloads and you click on the Cudo Miner OS. Then you're going to open that. Then you need to select the drive. This is where you plug the USB drive in at. So obviously I don't have anything plugged in, and all it sees is my 500 gig hard drive. We don't want to put that on our hard drive because that's what we're using. So make sure not to click the wrong thing. Let me see. Hold on. I have an extra little drive right here. Let me plug this in to show you all what we're working with. So when I plug that USB drive in, then we okay, see, now it says Patriot memory USB drive, 7.9 gigs, insufficient space, additional 940 megabytes required. Oh, that's another thing, guys. I recommend using a 16 gigabyte flash drive. It says it will run on an 8 gig flash drive, but for example, this is an 8 gig flash drive, but it doesn't really give you a true 8 gigs. You lose a little bit of that space. So make sure to get a 16. Probably even a 12 would work, but a 16 seemed to be cheap. I'll put an Amazon affiliate link down below for some of these SanDisk 16 gig drives. It's the ones that I use. They're really cheap and they seem to work. Also, there's the bigger ones, like the longer ones, but they're a little bit more. So after you select your drive, you hit enter. Then all you do is hit flash. It'll flash the software onto that actual USB drive, and then it takes a good 30 minutes or so, depending on how fast your computer is. Once that's done, bam, it'll be like, okay, we're done. That's it. You just unplug that USB drive. Then we're going to go over to the actual mining rig. You're going to take this USB drive, plug it into the mining rig, unplug your hard drive or whatever operating system you were running. If you were running Simple Miner, make sure to, say this is Simple Miner, make sure to unplug Simple Miner before you plug in Cudo Miner. And turn the system off first, obviously. So unplug your Simple Miner or unplug your Hive. plug in Cudo Miner, power the system back up. You will, on your first setup, you will need a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse. After your first setup, it is not necessary anymore. So once you get that Cudo Miner in, the first time it boots up, it's going to do some updating, and it takes anywhere from about 5 to 10 minutes. You have to make sure it's plugged into a LAN connection, so an Ethernet cable. Right off the bat, it will not work with the wireless. So that's one thing that they're looking about adding. Similar to Simple Miner, it will not work with wireless right out of the box. Takes a little bit of ingenuity. But once you got that, it'll update. Then it'll open up with a screen that says, you know, Cudo Miner, blah, 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 we're here. Let me actually open up my Cudo Miner, show you what we're working with. If you ever used it on Windows, you know it's the same exact screen that pops up on actual the Linux USB drive. Where's my Cudo Miner? So bam, it'll pop up with a screen like this, and it'll actually be full screen on your drive or on your system. It'll have to go through and benchmark everything like normal. I'm actually mining on this computer. Hold on, I was mining while I was recording, didn't even know it. So it'll benchmark through all the cards and stuff in your system. Now here's a little bit of troubleshooting, because this point I ran into some issues and I found a way around these. Mine would get like halfway through benchmarking and then it would crash. So the first thing you do, especially if it's on like a low power CPU chip, while it's benchmarking, disable the benchmark, go down and turn your CPU off. Then go back up and enable the benchmarks and let them run through all the benchmarks. And to make sure you're running through all the benchmarks, you can go to settings and make sure it says third-party miners on, enable overclocking on. So then you see all your algorithms down here and you get to see all your benchmarks and everything after it goes through the whole battery of tests. Now, my Octo Miner has a 10-watt Celeron, a 2-core, 2-thread, and it's got DDR3, 4 gigs of it, and I am running currently right now 2 1080s, a 1070, and a 1066 gig on it. That's not the screen that you're looking at right here. This is my personal screen. I'm not remoted into the Octo Miner. Just giving you an example that this will run on low RAM and low power CPUs, but I cannot actually mine on my Octo Miner CPU. If I go and click mining on that CPU, the system will crash after, I don't know, a couple hours. I think that Celeron processor, that it's a 10-watt integrated Celeron processor, not enough. I burned another stick right here. I'm going to be trying it on my other systems, which have a little bit better setup. One's got a G3900, one's got a G4400, so those are Pentiums and a little bit higher power Celerons. You're looking at the 30 and 40 watt 2-core, 2-thread chips, and I think those will actually do better, but a lot of people are always worried about RAM. Not an issue. It'll run on 4 gigs of RAM, no problem. Another thing I noticed that sometimes it wouldn't pull all the graphics cards in right on the first boot. Like it'll tell you on the main screen right here what graphics cards you have in the system. Sometimes turn the system back off and plug in just one graphics card, boot it up, let it go through its thing, then add the second one, and then the third one, and the fourth one. I was lucky enough that on my second restart, it pulled all the drivers for all the cards, and it did different cards. I don't recommend mixing NVIDIA with AMD. If you're going to have an NVIDIA system, leave it all NVIDIA, and if you're going to have AMD, leave it AMD, and so on. A couple of the other things that are good to actually check and go through is some people were getting display problems, so they would go through the whole thing, and they'd be running their display off the integrated graphics on the actual motherboard, and all they see is like black and white letters, like all readouts and stuff like that. If you get that problem, plug into your main graphics card the display out on your main graphics card, and most likely the display will be on that graphics card. You might have to take all the graphics cards out to figure out which one's your primary on some systems. On my Octo Miner, for example, it was the first graphics card right over from the CPU, and that is, for some reason, even when I set it to give me display out from the onboard graphics, the onboard graphics shows me like the shell in the background and all that kind of stuff, but the graphics card is showing me the GUI, and so it's kind of like showing me two different layers. It's just kind of cool for diagnosing stuff, but it can be aggravating if it's your first time setting it up. So Now, with that being said, guys, I'm implementing Cudo Miner basically across my whole farm coming up here soon. I also got some more projects doing like a little laptop farm, and I'm gonna use Cudo Miner's auto switching software on that. It seems to be pretty steady. I noticed the profit is really close to NiceHash. Sometimes it's a little bit better, sometimes it's a little bit under. But the biggest thing here is you're able to change your payout coin. Guys, look at that right now. I'm getting paid out in Raven coin. You can get paid out in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, and they have more coins coming. So I hate to sound like a huge shill. This is not a sponsored video, other than the fact that I do get referrals, and you know, if you sign up under my Cudo Miner referral link, I get a little kickback. But it's nothing, you know, it's nothing too crazy or too huge. It's software that I've been working with the dev team, telling them, you know, good stuff, bad stuff, and I really like it. I really like using this. Coming off of Simple Miner, could potentially be my next stepping stone for what I use on all my rigs. Now, with that being said, guys, I'm gonna leave y'all on a cliffhanger here, and just try it for yourself. I'm gonna do a follow-up video showing, you know, it running on my systems, that kind of thing. And yeah, I hope y'all have a good one. And actually, you know what? For the people that made it this far in the video, I'm actually going to grab my webcam. Let's see here. I got a mess back there. Don't look at it. Let's see here. Now look at this. Bam. What does that say? $2.43 a day. This is actually this rig right here. So we got a 1070, 1080, 1060, and a 1080. I was mixing and matching some cards, making sure I wouldn't have any problem on that Octominer board. And it seems to handle different 10 series cards with no issue. And it looks like we're mining some Raven coin right now, and we're auto switching to Raven coin, which is kind of funny because it doesn't need to auto switch. But I have noticed sometimes it's jumping over to Bitcoin Gold and some other algorithms, sometimes even Ethereum when it picks back up. So yeah, it's just nice to have an alternative to NiceHash, because sometimes either NiceHash goes down or you don't want to deal with getting Bitcoin and having to switch it to another coin. So bam, bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Thank y'all for tuning in, guys. Thank y'all for hanging out. We will see you on the next one. And yeah, cut it. Cut it. Cut. My editor is just lacking today. Oh, that's me. Later, guys. Peace.